All right, so today we're really gonna dive deep into this whole TikTok
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Specifically this potential ban looming here in the U.S. It's gotten, everybody's talking about it. We've got a federal court ruling to unpack.
Right.
Some political back and forth.
Yeah.
Even individual states are starting to get involved.
That's getting complicated.
Yeah. So to really break it down, we've got three great sources for this one.
Okay.
We've got an article from the Associated Press,
All right.
a segment from Live Now W from FIX,
Okay.
and a piece out of Montana Public Radio.
All right.
So by the end of this, you'll really know what's going on here, what it means for TikTok, obviously, huge.
Huge, yeah.
170 million U.S. users.
Wow.
And maybe even, bigger picture, what this means for social media as we know it, right?
Yeah.
Could have some really interesting precedents being set here.
Right. This is not just a theoretical debate anymore. A federal appeals court basically just gave the green light to a law.
Okay.
That basically gives TikTok a pretty stark choice.
Okay.
Find a buyer, get bought out, or face a nationwide ban.
Wow.
And we're not talking about, years down the line. This clock is ticking.
Okay.
We're talking mid-January 2025.
So this isn't just a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
This is a potential death sentence for TikTok in the U.S.
Pretty much. It's all tied to, we've talked about it before,
Right.
all these concerns swirling around TikTok's parent company, ByteDance.
Yeah, the Chinese company.
Exactly.
Right.
The court, in their reasoning, really seems to be focused on the potential for foreign influence.
Right.
Specifically how that might impact free speech here in the U.S.
I can definitely see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants a foreign government messing with what Americans are seeing and hearing online.
Of course not.
But how exactly? How does the court plan to separate legitimate content moderation
Right.
from potential foreign manipulation?
Yeah. How do you, where do you draw that line?
Right.
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
And reading through the court's decision, it seems like they're really focused on the potential for manipulation,
Right. Yeah.
rather than any hard evidence
Right.
that it's actually happening. And that's what's raising some eyebrows, right? Because it begs the question, does this set a dangerous precedent,
Right.
for internet regulation?
Right. For the whole internet.
For the whole internet going forward. So TikTok.
Yeah, I imagine they're scrambling for options here.
Oh, absolutely.
So what are their next moves?
Well, their first move's pretty clear. They're expected to appeal to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
That's really their last hope at overturning this ruling.
But even if the Supreme Court decides to take the case, there's no guarantees.
Right. There's no guarantees. They could uphold the ban.
Right.
They could overturn it.
Right.
They could even send it back down to a lower court.
Oh.
So it really is a legal nail biter.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got this court case just hanging over TikTok's head.
Looming. Yeah.
And then this FOX segment, they throw in another wrench into the mix.
Other layer, yeah.
Which is President-elect Trump's stance on this whole thing.
Yes. This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, a few years back,
yeah, it was Trump.
it was Trump who initially tried to ban TikTok.
Right, during his first term.
Yeah. Now he seems to be signaling that he might actually want to save it.
So we could have the outgoing administration pushing for a ban.
Yeah.
While the incoming president tries to block it.
Exactly. Talk about a political tug of war.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just a game, This FOX segment does a good job at highlighting, what this uncertainty means for, the people on the ground.
Right.
TikTok employees.
Right.
Creators, advertisers.
They don't know what to expect.
Nobody knows what to expect.
Right. And it's not just the White House involved, right?
Yeah.
The AP article mentions that there's actually quite a bit of bipartisan support.
Yeah, there is.
In Congress for the ban. They even quote both Republican and Democrat representatives who seem to be on board with this.
Right, and that speaks to a much broader concern that's really kind of taken root in Washington about TikTok and the fact that it's, they see it as this potential national security threat.
Right.
Especially given its Chinese ownership.
Right.
I mean, that's what, the government is really apprehensive about.
Yeah, so it's not just about politics. It's really about the data, right?
It's about the data.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, the potential for TikTok to hand over user data to the Chinese government.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially with all the data. I mean, we all know, right? All the data these social media platforms are collecting.
Right.
All of it.
But isn't TikTok pushing back against these accusations?
They are.
Okay.
They are. The AP article mentions they've, repeatedly denied any spying, any manipulation.
Right.
They're saying they've invested billions of dollars
Wow.
in protecting U.S. user data.
Okay.
But,
it doesn't seem to be working.
It doesn't seem to be calming those concerns in Washington.
Yeah, it's almost like a classic case of he said, she said.
Right.
But with, incredibly high stakes here.
Yeah.
So if the U.S. government just straight up doesn't trust TikTok, I mean, what are the options?
Well, besides the outright ban.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk of forcing ByteDance to sell off TikTok to a U.S. company, like a forced breakup.
Like a forced breakup.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who are the potential suitors here?
Well, the AP article mentions a couple of familiar names, actually. Steven Mnuchin, former Treasury Secretary. Okay. And Frank McCourt, the guy that used to own the Dodgers.
Wow, right.
Apparently their consortium is willing to put up over $20 billion.
Wow.
For the platform.
Talk about a golden parachute, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
But is selling TikTok really that simple?
No.
I mean, I feel like it's not.
It's not just a bunch of videos, right? I mean, think about it. It's the algorithm that curates those videos.
Right.
That's really the secret sauce that makes it so addictive, right? And the Chinese government,
I don't see them just giving that up.
I don't see them letting that algorithm go easily.
Yeah. So you could end up with this, U.S.-owned TikTok.
Right.
It's just, I don't know, just a shell of his former self.
A shell of itself. Exactly. Right. And that begs the question, would users stick around if the algorithm changed?
Right.
Even if it meant that their data was supposedly safer.
Yeah. Would the advertisers...
Would advertisers see the same value?
Yeah.
It's a huge gamble.
Yeah. This feels like we're wading into uncharted territory here.
Totally.
Are there any historical parallels that we can look at?
I mean, it's definitely unprecedented.
Yeah.
But, there are some echoes, I think, of the Microsoft antitrust case.
Okay.
Back in the 90s.
Right.
Back then, the government was concerned about Microsoft's dominance.
Okay.
In the tech world.
Yeah. Much
like they are now with TikTok's grip.
Right.
On social media.
So are we witnessing, the birth of a new era of tech regulation?
It certainly feels that way.
Yeah.
I mean, this case could have huge implications.
Yeah.
For how governments around the world deal with tech giants.
Right. And data security.
And all of this while.
Yeah.
This Montana Public Radio article is reminding us that some states, they're not waiting for the federal government to act.
They're not waiting. They're taking it into their own hands.
Montana already has a state-level TikTok ban in place.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're not alone. Several other states are considering similar bans.
So even if the Supreme Court sides with TikTok, we could still see this, fragmented landscape.
Yeah, patchwork.
Yeah.
Where it's available in some states.
Right.
But not others.
That just sounds like a logistical nightmare.
I mean, could you imagine?
Yeah.
It'd be crazy.
So what about the legal arguments surrounding all these bans?
Well, there are definitely some concerns about free speech violations.
Right.
The AP article mentions the Knight First Amendment Institute.
They argue that these bans set a very dangerous precedent.
Okay.
It could chill online expression.
I mean, it raises the question, right, of how to balance national security concerns with individual rights in this digital age.
It's a big question.
Yeah, it's a tough one. No easy answers there.
Yeah.
So what does all this mean?
Right.
For the average TikTok user?
Yeah.
Just scrolling through their feed.
Well, I think the first thing is they need to stay informed. about the situation.
Yeah.
Because things are changing,
Rapidly.
And the outcome is it's far from certain.
So it's kind of a wait and see approach for now.
For now, yeah. But it's also a time, I think, to think critically about our relationship with these platforms.
Right.
Do we trust them?
Yeah.
With our data?
Yeah.
What are we willing to sacrifice?
Right.
For convenience and entertainment?
It feels like this is bigger than TikTok.
It is.
This case is forcing us to confront some really fundamental questions.
Yeah.
About, the role of technology in our lives.
Right.
The power dynamics at play.
Of course.
And our individual responsibilities.
You're hitting on a crucial point.
Yeah.
This is about more than just one app.
Right.
It's about more than just one company.
Yeah.
This is about shaping the future of the internet.
All right, so we've got this legal battle going on.
Uh-huh.
We've got political maneuvering.
Yeah.
We've got national security concerns.
Mm-hmm.
We've got ethical dilemmas.
It's a lot.
All swirling around TikTok. I mean, where do we even go from here?
That's the question.
Yeah, it feels like we're at a real crossroads here.
We are.
Like the choices we make today could have, huge ripple effects.
Absolutely.
For years to come.
Years to come.
So, where could this all go? What are some of the potential scenarios that could play out?
Well, I think, we got to start with the most drastic one, right? Supreme Court upholds the ban.
Right.
TikTok vanishes from the U.S.
Gone.
Poof. That would be seismic.
Yeah.
It really would. It would completely reshape the social media landscape.
Yeah.
Potentially leaving, this huge void for competitors to try to fill.
So what happens to all those users?
Right. 170 million?
Some will obviously migrate to other platforms.
Yeah.
But TikTok, let's be honest, it's got that something special.
Yeah.
Right? That je ne sais quoi, that unique blend of creativity and community.
Yeah.
That's really hard to replicate. So I think it's entirely possible that no single platform can really fill that void completely, leading to, even more
fragmentation in the social media world.
And I imagine that could have a big impact.
Huge impact.
On the creator economy, right?
Absolutely.
All those people that have built their careers on TikTok might find it really tough to regain that level of success.
To get that same kind of traction somewhere else. And it really underscores, I think, how intertwined our digital lives have become with these platforms.
Right.
A ban wouldn't just be an inconvenience.
Right.
It could have, real economic and social consequences.
So if a ban is like the nuclear option, what are the less drastic possibilities here?
Well, the court could just overturn the lower court's ruling.
Right.
Allow TikTok to just keep operating.
Okay. Status quo.
Status quo, as is.
Yeah.
But I don't think that really addresses the concerns.
The underlying concern.
About the data security.
And foreign influence.
Yeah. It might even lead to,
It could even embolden regulators, to come up with even more aggressive measures.
So even a victory in court might not be a complete win for TikTok.
Not at all. This case has really put them under the microscope.
Yeah.
They're going to face scrutiny no matter what happens.
So what about this idea of a forced sale?
Right.
Could that actually work?
It's possible.
Yeah.
But, like we were talking about earlier, the devil's in the details.
Yeah.
How do you actually divest TikTok
from
ByteDance?
Yeah.
Without killing what makes it TikTok?
Right.
It's a huge task.
Yeah.
It would require a level of cooperation and compromise.
Yeah.
That, I don't know. I don't see happening.
Yeah.
Given, the current state of things. Right. It seems like we're just left with more questions than answers.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. But is there a bigger takeaway here?
I think there is.
Okay.
I think, the TikTok saga it's a reminder that we're in uncharted territory when it comes to, these tech platforms.
Right.
How much power they have, how much influence they have.
Yeah.
And it's forcing us to really grapple with some fundamental questions
Yeah.
about, what does data privacy really mean?
Right.
What about national security?
Yeah.
And, what is the role of the government
right,
in all of this? How do you regulate the digital sphere?
and it's not just about TikTok.
It's not.
I mean, this sets a precedent.
It does.
For how we might deal with
Right.
other, tech giants in the future.
Absolutely.
I mean, Facebook, Google,
all of them.
Amazon, yeah.
I mean, the decisions that are made in the next few months could have huge consequences.
Yeah. I mean, this is shaping the future of the internet.
Yeah. It's a crucial moment.
It is.
To be, to be informed.
Informed.
To be engaged.
Engaged.
And to, to participate in these conversations.
Your voice matters.
Well said. I think this deep dive has given us all.
I think so too.
A lot to think about.
A lot to chew on.
Any final words of wisdom?
Oh, words of wisdom. Let's see. Stay curious.
Okay.
Stay critical.
All right.
And remember, your voice matters.
Okay.
I mean, the future of the internet, it's not set in stone.
Right.
It's something that we all have a role in shaping.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
Into the, increasingly complicated world of TikTok.
It's a wild ride.
We'll definitely continue to follow the story closely.
Absolutely.
And, bring you all the updates as they develop.
We'll keep you posted. But until then, keep those brains buzzing.
Yeah, it feels like, we've got all these different paths that this could go down.
Absolutely.
So what, I mean, if a ban is kind of the most extreme outcome.
Right, like the nuclear option.
What are some of the other possibilities? What else could happen here?
Well, if the Supreme Court could, they could just overturn the lower court's ruling and say, TikTok, you're good.
Back to business as usual.
Business as usual.
Okay.
You can keep operating.
But I don't know. I mean, would that really... I don't think it would really solve anything. Right.
I mean, would it really address those underlying concerns?
Not really, no.
About data security, about foreign influence?
I think it might even, it might embolden regulators to come up with even stricter, even more aggressive measures down the line.
So even a victory in court might not be a total win.
Might not be a total win, no.
For TikTok?
Look, this case has put them under the microscope.
Right.
I mean, they're going to be facing a lot more scrutiny now.
Right, regardless of the outcome.
It's just they're on everybody's radar now.
So what about, we talked about the possibility of a forced sale.
Right.
Could that actually work? I mean, could that actually happen?
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
But like we said before,
it's tricky.
It's all in the details. I mean, how do you actually pull that off?
Right.
How do you separate TikTok from ByteDance?
Right, without destroying it.
Without destroying it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just strip away all the things that make it TikTok and expect it to still be successful.
It's not just about the name.
It's not just about the...
It's about the algorithm. It's about that whole experience.
A whole ecosystem.
Yeah. So that's a tough one.
And it would require, both sides to really
come to the table.
Yeah.
And cooperate.
Which,
I don't know.
I don't know.
In this current climate, I don't.
It's hard to see that happening.
Yeah.
It feels like we've got more questions than answers at this point.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
But is there a bigger takeaway here?
I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is that we're in completely uncharted territory.
Yeah.
When it comes to these tech platforms.
Right.
I mean, they've grown so big.
So fast.
So fast.
Yeah.
So powerful.
And we're trying to figure out.
And now we're having to ask these really difficult questions.
Yeah, like what are the rules?
What are the rules?
What are the boundaries?
Where do we draw the lines?
Yeah, how do we balance? These different interests.
Right. National security,
data privacy, freedom of speech.
Right. The rights of individuals.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And it's not just about TikTok.
I mean, this could impact
every platform.
How we deal with any tech company.
Any tech company, yeah. This is setting a precedent.
It really is.
So we need to be paying attention.
Yeah.
We need to be informed.
We need to be part of the conversation.
Absolutely.
Well, this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
Any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap things up?
Yeah. I mean, I would just say, stay curious.
Okay.
Stay critical.
Right. Don't just accept things at face value.
Exactly.
Question everything. Do your own research.
And remember, your voice matters.
That's a good one.
I mean, this isn't, the future isn't written yet.
Right.
We all have a role in shaping it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
My pleasure.
Thanks for joining us today.
It was fun.
And we'll be back next week with another deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
Into who knows what.
Who knows what.
But it'll be interesting.
It always is.
That's for sure. Until then, keep those brains buzzing.